What is going on everyone, Nostalgia925 coming at you with another Explaining Digimon episode. I can imagine that some of you are going to be a bit surprised as I usually announce a particular subject before actually talking about it. I'm afraid that this time I could not really do so as I'm quite distracted by those aspects in my private life, aka school. And I totally forgot that I wanted to do something special for you as we are now Halloween. Oh, well, it was. Well, not that it matters much because the content remains content. In this video I wanted to stop by the Digimon Pumpkinmon. In appearance, you can see that the Digimon is certainly based on the western holiday of Halloween with that giant pumpkin head it has. To make things special, I will start discussing Pumpkinmon first and sort of dedicate my time around this Digimon. I hope you will enjoy it. Now Pumpkinmon is a puppet Digimon that may not look strong, but the Digimon is in fact an ultimate level one, so you cannot take it lightly. This probably means that it can do much more than what you would believe its appearance would allow it to do. You see, when you look at Pumpkinmon, or maybe better said when I looked at Pumpkinmon, I thought that the Digimon would be an evil one, as it does look like the kind of Digimon that would scare you at night, that could in fact scare children at night, especially with the axe on its head. Well, Pumpkinmon for starters belongs to the Nightmare Soldiers family. Members of this field are usually demonic Digimon or those who dwell in haunted areas. This reminds me of a certain graveyard / haunted forest / swamp in Digimon World 3. I think it was called Jungle Boneyard. It is a place that, once you go deeper and deeper, you will see less and less sunlight if at all. I think that would be the perfect spot for a Pumpkinmon. The Digimon also belongs to an unknown family group. In which case, this means that there are still a great many questions concerning this Digimon. Not all of its genes have been entirely identified. And what I like most about the unknown part is that, theoretically spoken, this might give endless possibilities when it comes to other Digivolutions. Think of it, who knows, maybe that unknown part will link it to the Dragon's Roar family, in which case its Digivolution might look like a dragon inspired by the Halloween holiday. And considering that Halloween has a lot to do with fear and that the digital world involves a great deal of fear, you might end up having a very terrifying dragonesque Digimon that can only be found in the darker areas. On top of that, the Digimon will be at the Mega level, so it can only end up as a serious threat. But that is me getting ahead of myself. Before I forget, Pumpkinmon has the attribute Data. This means that the Digimon can be good or evil depending on what it wants or depending on circumstances, I would say, but generally it values peace above all. This kind of impressed me because initially I would have thought that we were talking about the Digimon with a virus attribute, especially when we consider it to be part of the Nightmare Soldiers family, but that only shows the diversity within the Digimon digital world. It has never been a black or white universe, but rather a multiverse with different known to unknown colors, as Digimon are entities on their own and can develop differently despite belonging to the same race. To make my point, let me briefly talk about Pumpkinmon's champion level Bakemon. Let me first say that I will not go deeper on Bakemon for two reasons. One, it is a Halloween special and I wanted to focus mostly on the pumpkin-headed Pumpkinmon. Last and most important reason, Bakemon has an enormous Digivolution line, high probably among the biggest Digivolution line in the franchise, and I would like to go in depth once I will discuss it in another video. I'd like to take more of my time to discuss it, but we will end up getting there. Let us stay focused on Pumpkinmon. The point I tried to make, Bakemon has an attack called Evil Charm, also called Death Charm. It casts a powerful death spell on the opponent which is said to bring annihilation within 5 turns unless they are the possessor of a tenacious spirit. This technique, ladies and gentlemen, is not possessed by the Bakemon of File Island. This proves that Digimon develop differently depending on the world they are in, depending on the circumstances. This can lead to endless possibilities, endless developments, and more important, endless Digivolutions, as Digimon develop differently. This information is simply too awesome. And think of it, look at Gallantmon, also called Dukemon, a Digimon we discussed in the Explaining Guilmon episode. Can you imagine that in the Digimon alternate universe called Witchelny, there is a sort of different version of Gallantmon called Medieval Dukemon? They don't even fight the same way, nor do they have the same techniques. And this is a very interesting development. Now if you want more information on Medieval Dukemon, please consult the Explaining Witchelny video. You can easily access it by going to the Digimon Conversation playlist or by checking the description box. Now let us get back to Pumpkinmon. Now because the Digimon was never a malignant virus in the first place, but instead a data Digimon, it actually rarely inflicts any harm on purpose. All it would take is to kind of provoke it or give it a reason to do harm to really convince it to actually do so. But again, pay attention, we're still talking about an ultimate level Digimon, and its external appearance shows that it probably possesses powerful offensive abilities. Let us take a look at those abilities. It has an attack called Pumpkinmon Power, where it manifests a gigantic pumpkin in the air and then squashes the opponent with it. That leaves us with the question, how dangerous can a pumpkin be? I am sure that you might be very disappointed when we are talking about pumpkins as a mean of attack, as we did mention Digimon that have deadly toxins or can throw huge unstoppable fireballs. Speaking of which, I'd like to discuss Wargreymmon's Terra Force and Black Wargreymmon's Terra Destroyer in a separate video, just to explain how deadly they may be. I'm sure you will like it. So Pumpkinmon summons a gigantic pumpkin in the air and squashes the opponent with it. We're not talking about a little pumpkin that drops on the opponent, but a giant pumpkin that is being squashed. That attack is also called Trick or Treat, a typical Halloween catchphrase. How dangerous and how useful would a giant pumpkin be? I dug in the internet and found an answer to the following question: if I were to hypothetically toss a pumpkin off the roof of a 50-story building, would it kill or seriously hurt anyone it fell on? And here's the answer to it. Well, F equals M times A. By the way, this formula is part of Newton's second law of motion, which describes the relation between an object's mass and the amount of force needed to accelerate it. The F stands for force, the M stands for mass, and the A stands for acceleration. So let's get back to the comment. Well, force equals mass multiplied by the acceleration, regardless of the squishiness of the falling object. A 50-pound pumpkin impacting your head after a 50-story fall is going to create a whole lot of F on top of your cranium, and it's going to do it in a compact area. 50 pounds of feathers would probably just kind of drown you, but a pumpkin, yeah, it'd bust your head and spine up real good. Also, pumpkins aren't all that squashy. Apples are just as squashy and they can bust your nose just fine if thrown with a good arm. Some pumpkins have very thick walls with not a lot of space in the middle and can be considered solid objects for all reasonable calculations. Knowing that, and knowing that Pumpkinmon can summon a giant pumpkin and not throwing it but squashing it to an opponent, I think that we are talking about a very dangerous attack, even though I can imagine that you are a bit surprised as we are talking about a pumpkin. Never take a Digimon lightly, my friends. That is the reason why I want to make a what if video so badly. I'd like to make a video explaining a what if scenario. What if the Digimon world was real and humans accidentally entered that universe? What would happen? Trust me when I say it, that giant pumpkin will end up taking one's life, or at least paralyzed. Pumpkinmon has ways to be offensive, trust me. It has other ways. It can also surprise the enemy with a strange pumpkin. The question is, what kind of surprise can we expect? Is it a friendly one or not? And to finish, it can use a jack-o'-lantern that can breathe out high temperature flames, roasting the enemy. Trust me, my good friends, those Digimon that may look cute in appearance usually have some way to make themselves very useful, and not forget, we are talking about an ultimate level Digimon. It can be extremely dangerous. Pumpkinmon has two other Digivolutions though. One is Boltmon, a Digimon I discussed in the Explaining Andromon Digivolution video. I actually recommend you to watch that video if you haven't already. Boltmon is actually very related to Andromon. The other mega level Digimon we are going to take a look at is Noble Pumpkinmon. It's Pumpkinmon's mega level variant. Noble Pumpkinmon is a Pumpkinmon with a gentlemanly getup. It has a suit, a staff, a hat, and even wings. The Digimon is still a mega level Digimon that is neither good nor evil. A purely neutral Digimon that, to my surprise, aims to bring smiles to all Digimon. Well, it is a noble gentleman based Digimon after all. It is cheerful, but occasionally mischievous. Still, it can get along with any Digimon and is quite popular. This shows that it probably has charisma, which is also something needed to assure your own survival in that universe. It has a very interesting staff. It is called the Assam Ring Jack, that can make wonderful pumpkin dishes to treat newly befriended Digimon. A true noble gentleman that cares for its entourage. It almost seems like a perfect Digimon. Its staff Assam is a reference to a beautiful state in northeastern India. We are talking about a historical place here. For reasons, I'm thinking about the Digimon Sovereign. Some of their subordinates are inspired by Indian mythology, and Noble Pumpkinmon clearly has something linking it to India and thus linking it to the Digimon Sovereign subordinates. I should maybe take a closer look to all of them. This can lead to a lot of interesting hypotheses. You see, Noble Pumpkinmon has two known attacks. The two of them are really extremely savage for one that looks like a perfect gentleman. Its first attack is Trick or Treat Wallace. The Wallace is a reference to an Atlantic giant pumpkin grown by a certain Ron Wallace. Some of those pumpkins could go way over 1,000 pounds or 454 kilograms. Do you realize how huge that pumpkin really is? Noble Pumpkinmon can make a similar giant pumpkin, but one that is actually a bomb that it can summon at will, I suppose, and use them to blow away the whole area. Do you realize how much damage it can make? Can you imagine the blast radius of something as big as a giant pumpkin filled with explosive residues? It does not sound that noble after all. Its other attack would be pouring a huge amount of pumpkin soup into the enemy's body until they explode. Does that not sound extremely savage to you? I know that Digimon are already very dangerous, as there are Digimon that burn others, that stab others, electrocute others. Noble Pumpkinmon is actually the first Digimon I can tell that straight up tortures other Digimon, despite being a noble one. Forcing someone to drink whatever liquid could be considered as a crime against humanity, as it is torture. Let me show you what will happen if you drink too much water. Drinking too much water can result in water intoxication, also known as hyponatremia, causing the inside of cells to flood due to abnormally low sodium levels in your bloodstream. In severe cases, water intoxication can lead to debilitating health problems such as seizures, coma, and even death. And know that pumpkin soup is way thicker than water. It weighs more. Noble Pumpkinmon, despite its noble appearance, will force you to drink all of that until you explode. I don't know if you guys realize how extremely terrible this is. Try to imagine little children watching a new Digimon series. I'd like to put the emphasis on new because, in the end, Noble Pumpkinmon is a recent Digimon. It was officially released in October 7, 2019. That is after a bunch of different Digimon developments. So children way younger than the adult years are watching an episode where Noble Pumpkinmon is forcing a Digimon, or as far as I know a human, to drink pumpkin soup until they explode. I'm sure that in some countries it would be heavily censored. Ironically, this is why I want Digimon to be rated mature. It has never been something for children in the first place, despite them trying to make it look like that. I'm wondering how you guys would think about it. Hey guys, this is the end of the video. It is a simple video as I only talked about two Digimon for this Halloween special. Still, these two Digimon gave us so many different point of views and even added new aspects to Digimon that I actually never thought about, like torture. Can you imagine a pumpkin soup being forced onto an Angemon? A Digimon that is beloved by many. I'm sure many would end up crying, and that is only going to make them watch Digimon even more. That would be the same as using Digimon in its true potential. But yeah, such stories will depend on what the Digimon developers have in mind. But I really hope that this short video did something to you. I wanted to make it something special considering Halloween. Please don't forget to subscribe and join the Nostalgia 9 to 5 brethren. I really hope to get the attention of the Digimon developers by working on those Digimon videos. Now that I think of it, I don't necessarily need their attention. I want Digimon to have more attention. I grew up with this franchise, and to be honest, this franchise did help me to develop myself back when I was in elementary. I really love this franchise, so please subscribe as we are going to go deeper and deeper and deeper, because at this point, Digimon does seem quite endless and there's simply so much I can talk about. Subscribe and please check out the different Digimon playlists, like the mythological conversation where we take a look at the mythological figures that inspire the design of certain Digimon. All my playlists are always updated, that we can all catch up on the newest and the oldest videos.